They call him Clayface.
Clayface?
You asked.
With comic book Big Bad Clayface set to make his big screen debut in his first solo outing, I figured that now would be as good of time as any to take a look back at his first appearance on the small screen. Much like the forgotten Harley Quinn, the forgotten Clayface first appeared in the mostly forgotten Birds of Prey TV show, being one of only about 5 or 6 villains from the comics that was brought to that TV show. Or I guess more accurately, 2 out of 5 or 6. As the series actually depicted 2 separate versions of the character, who in this instance were presented as father and son. While these characters only appeared in all of 1 episode, they served a pretty important part of the overall plot, as the episode that they were featured in was actually the series finale. And in that finale, it was revealed that the original Clayface had actually played a hand in the creation of the series lead, revealing that it was his hand, in fact, that took the life of her mother and kickstarted her origin. Now, for whatever reason, the original Clayface in the show isn't in actuality the original Clayface from the comics, Basil Karlo, nor is it the more traditionally used Matt Hagen, who in of itself usually acts as an amalgamation of Basil Karlo and Matt Hagen from the comics. The character I don't think is even necessarily named, though sectors of the internet claim that it's Cassius Payne, which in of itself is kinda weird because he is for all intents and purposes one of the less loved, less used versions of the villain. Side note that I just want to mention here in editing, Cassius Payne was also the son of a Clayface and not the father of one, being the love child of 2 Clayfaces in Preston Payne and Sandra Fuller. But nevertheless, this Clayface is an artist that uses the pain and suffering of others the same way other artists would use a brush. It's the instrument of his artwork, and every life that he spoils is just another brushstroke in his magnum opus. He's a big picture kind of guy, even when he's stuck performing for 4 walls and no audience. And with very little screen time, this Clayface came off as nothing short of unsettling, torturing Huntress even from behind the protection of a prison. It's almost like he gets off on it. No, actually, it's just exactly that. He definitely does.
Oh, don't stop now! Come on, baby, we're just getting started!
The suffering of others is his only form of entertainment, and despite being a part of a pretty mid-telling of the tale, the character is still insanely twisted. Without a doubt, he is one of the strongest performances in the whole series. The speeches he gave in his southern drawl made him sound like a gentleman, but the words that he used had him speaking like a serial killer. It's all very unnerving in of itself, but it's especially unnerving for the series that it's a part of. This felt very much in the same vein as Hannibal Lecter and Clarice Sterling in Silence of the Lambs. But, on a much smaller scale. It feels a lot more surreal than a lot of what this show had to offer. And I think that's a big part of the reason that this version of the villain, and especially the actor playing the antagonist, have always stuck with me personally. The actor who portrayed him, Kirk Baltz, and I really hope that I'm pronouncing his name correctly, really outdid himself, making the most of the material that he was given. I can remember routinely quoting his scenes years after seeing the show.
Helena Kyle, damn, you are your mother's child. Let me see your anguish, Helena, your pain. I can still see that vacant look in her eyes staring through the face of death. But the one regret that I have is that I did not linger at that scene long enough to watch your pain. First I killed her mother, now I killed her daughter. It's almost poetic.
The design of the character is probably pretty bad by today's standards, but for a low-budget TV show in the very early 2000s, I remember being pretty impressed. To be fair, as a Batman fan, I think I was kinda riding the high of seeing a villain on screen that I thought I for sure would never live to see put on screen, outside of animation. In all honesty, he kinda looks like what would happen if you ordered the Thing from Wish. Or like a Tiamo Grimer from Pokemon. But I'm gonna be honest, I kinda dig it. Though something I should note is that this Clayface powers come from a serum made specifically for him and his DNA. And when that serum is ingested by his next of kin, it gave his son a whole other set of clay-like abilities. Instead of giving him the power to mold himself as if he were made of clay, it gives him the ability to turn others into a mold of clay, which is actually a lot closer to the character Claything from the comics as opposed to Clayface. I mean, Claything was technically the 6th Clayface of the bunch. Yes, there are that many. And he has the ability to melt others into puddles of clay, as opposed to making solid structures like this one does. This second Clayface was played by actor Ian Reed Kesler. And this bad guy just feels bad, guy.
It's proven to be a grave disappointment.
The second one is a lot less special. He just kind of comes across like a douchey nepo baby trying to cash in on his father's fame, or in this case, infamy. So he definitely doesn't carry the same sinister aura that his on-screen father does, which becomes even more painfully apparent when he has to share a screen with his parent. It's really hard to comment on, because in general, his acting is right in place of the show. It's a little over the top, a little hammy, but so were a lot of the villains that appeared on screen here. But it is such a painful contrast to his predecessor, who he's asked to stand next to, making him come off that much more goofy, and quite frankly, for lack of a better word, dumb.
I intend to be the most feared criminal New Gotham has ever seen. If you wait, there might be a much bigger payday.
The greatest artistic achievement in New Gotham history.
It's not exactly what I expected, but it'll do nicely.
Ooh. Huntress and her little toys, I'm so scared.
That's the problem with guys like you. Once you make up your mind, you're set in stone.
I don't think the second Clayface even really makes an impression. He doesn't have enough time to. But if he did, then you get the impression that the impression you would get would not be a good one. If any of that made sense, which it may not have. Then there's also things about the mythos that I just have to question here, like this line.
Don't worry. I did the same thing to my father.
I'm not really like, in my head, that makes me wonder, is that just an offhanded comment, or is this an attempt at connecting all the Clayfaces by bloodline? I don't know. Regardless, for better or worse, these are the first live-action Clayfaces. Well, sort of. Because while at the time this was undoubtedly the first outings for this character on screen, since then, Retcons have re-established another on-screen villain as being Clayface adjacent. So after all of this, I have now technically lied to you, and for that I'm sorry. So if you enjoyed this video, and would maybe want to join me in taking a deeper dive and a look back into the great Clayface mystery, let me know in the comment section below by leaving a comment saying,
Hey, has anyone seen Clayface?
I am vengeance. I am the night, and that was V Infuso. Just remember, if you're not tuning in, then you're missing out.
So, if you like the words that came out of his mouth hole, and you too would like to become a V-generate, don't forget to like and subscribe. Thanks for watching, nerds!
And if you're not joining the fun, you're in for one bad day. And you know what they say about having one bad day?
Catch him next time. Same bat time. Same bat channel.